What is up, PD Party? We are here with episode 7 of the Madden Week2Week Franchise series featuring the Jacksonville Jaguars. We now have Tony Khan as our head coach, our general manager, making some of his biggest decisions as we need to cut 29 players to make our active roster before our last preseason game. One of the biggest digs I have at Madden is why won't they let me have my 75-man roster playing that 4th preseason game? It happens like that in real life. Why don't they have me cut the roster after preseason week 4? Makes zero sense. But today's episode, before we hop into our 4th preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons, we will go through all 29 cuts we need to make. Again, I'm reacting to what the Jaguars did in real life, so that means we will be dealing Leonard Fournette today. Again, here were the offers that we got. Not great. A 3rd-round pick was so far the best from the Washington team. Didn't even play against them. And the rest were pretty trash. Really didn't get even picks in any 2021. So we made sure Leonard Fournette went to the Buccaneers, and I made a trade there, as well as making a trade for Ronnie Harrison, the safety who went to the Cleveland Browns for a 5th-round pick. We traded him to the Cleveland Browns and got someone else. But let's make the cuts. Let's go through the roster, make our 53-man roster, as well as make our practice squad, a 10-man practice squad with only people who are eligible rookie to year 2. I know in real life they switched it up where you can now put veterans on the practice squad, but Madden did not update that, of course. So here's our roster. Let's start out with quarterback. So Gardner Minshew, Gardner Mania will be our starting quarterback. The mustache, the legend, star development. Hopefully he can take a leap in his sophomore year and does not have a sophomore slump. We're going to be rocking with Gardner Minshew. No competition. He is our starter. Sadly, Joshua Dobbs out of Tennessee, the rocket scientist, the astrophysicist, the smart guy, the guy with the alopecia, he sadly was cut. I have no idea why the Jacksonville Jaguars cut him. I think he'd be a great backup, young backup. Was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, was released by the Jaguars, and then picked up again by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So obviously they see some value in him, and we wish him the best in his future endeavors behind Big Ben. McDonald, who we picked up off of waivers. He was dropped by Tennessee as an undrafted free agent. We picked him up. Competition between Jake Luton and Cole McDonald. Looks like now with Joshua Dobbs getting cut, they both made the roster. So we thought one of them was going to be on the practice squad. Now both of them will make the main roster. I know Jake Luton has had a great camp in real life. Another 6th-round pick like Gardner Minshew. But Jake Luton will make the roster as a 6th-round pick. And Cole McDonald, undrafted free agent, will make the roster too. We'll probably put Luton as our backup quarterback. Again, keep it more like real life because he's actually on the team. I signed Mike Glennon again because he was signed, or he was cut, and then he was signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad. Since now they can sign veterans, the quarterbacks in the Jacksonville Jaguars in real life are only 2. They only have Luton and Minshew. But they brought back Glennon for the practice squad. I just wanted to bring back Glennon to see his doofy face and cut him one more time. I know we're going to try to make the series as close to the Jacksonville Jaguars as possible, but we do have Tony Khan as our head coach, Tony Khan as our general manager, and me running the ship too, as well as you guys too with your suggestions. So I think we're going to make a little wiser choice. Keep Cole McDonald. He's 2 points better. He's younger. He's practice squad eligible if we need to drop down to the practice squad for roster changes. So we're rocking with Cole McDonald. Mike Glennon, again, 2nd time we cut him. Good luck in your future endeavors. At running back, we are going to roll with Laviska Shenault, our 2nd-round pick, converted wide receiver to running back, played the Cordero Patterson hybrid running back wide receiver in college at Colorado, and we're going to be going slash. We're going to be going lightning this season. We're going to have a fast running back. He does have a little bit of weight on him at 227, but he definitely is a lighter running back from a wide receiver transitioning over to running back. But so far, we're going to run with him and see how he does. Behind him, probably our 3rd down running back. He's a great pass catcher. Chris Thompson, just like in real life, he might even be the starter in real life now for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He will be our number 2 running back. He's got the experience. Hopefully he stays healthy. Again, we'll have him as our 3rd down running back, so he will get some playing time. We will keep Raquel Armstead. He's probably our best power back right now, even though our starter, Laviska Shenault, weighs a little bit more than him and is a little bit taller than him too. Raquel Armstead's probably going to be our power back behind Laviska Shenault. Pretty much our only classified power back on the team. And then we also have Divine Ozagibo, who he might actually be the starter in real life. Who knows? Armstead has been on the COVID list in real life, but again, in our franchise, thankfully, there is no COVID. So both those guys will be on the roster. I was thinking about signing another player, maybe bumping Ozagibo down to the practice squad. We might still do that. He's only a 62 overall, and I'd like to have our team have a little better power back to go along with Chris Thompson and our starting running back, Laviska Shenault. But wasn't ready to make a pickup. Didn't want to use one of our free agency picks, 10 overall. I didn't want to use one of our trades too. So we used one of the picks this week to make our final roster, as well as 3 different trades to make our final roster as well. So I want to save some of those. It's a long season ahead. We haven't even made the regular season. We're still in the preseason, so I would definitely want to save those, see how our running back room looks on our last preseason game. And we have one of our breakout stars at fullback. The Jaguars even have a fullback. I know Miller, he used to play for the Buccaneers, was a fullback on their team in real life, or is their fullback on the team in real life. He's not in this game. He's about 5-6 year veteran. So we went with Bronson Rex Steiner. Perfect for this series. His father, one of the tag team legends of the Steiner brothers, Rick Steiner. Bronson Rex Steiner, 69 overall. He had 3 touchdowns this preseason. Yes, they were all fullback dives, but he shows that intensity, shows the velocity when it comes to the goal line, and he can throw some good blocks. So we're going to have the rookie Bronson Rex Steiner be our starting fullback. Now here's the bombshell. There was a huge drop when it came to final cuts. Did not make sense. He is a legend. He's a bona fide Hall of Famer. And I'm sure other series on YouTube, I think I've heard other people mention that he got dropped. So I think he's dropped in every single one of the series, any franchise mode. But I wanted to pick him up. This team could use leaders. This team can use future Hall of Famers. This guy's been to a Super Bowl. This guy's been on bad teams and stayed loyal. He's had a huge chip on his shoulder for being cut. So we brought in, as our number 1 wide receiver, Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald, longtime Arizona Cardinal, brought them to a Super Bowl. Sadly didn't win the Super Bowl. He's 37 years old. He was planning on playing one last season with young quarterback Kyler Murray, playing alongside Christian Kirk, and of course the X Factor, DeAndre Hopkins. But the Cardinals, I guess, cut him. Maybe Andy Isabella, their second-year player, stepped up. But their loss, our gain, we're able to get Larry Fitzgerald as our number 1 receiver at 83, pretty close to our second-best wide receiver, DJ Chark. Larry Fitzgerald, I have no idea why. Maybe because he's younger or because he's older in his career. He's only a normal. I'm surprised he's not even a star. But I get he's a little bit older. He's still physical, 83 overall wide receiver. Will be our number 1. Will be a great mentor on the team. Might even make him a captain here later too. We still have DJ Chark. We have D.D. Westbrook as our slot. We might have DJ Chark and D.D. Westbrook compete for that slot now that Larry Fitzgerald's on the team for that slot wide receiver spot. We have Chris Conley. Now he's not the veteran wide receiver on the team. We have Larry Fitzgerald, almost over 10 years a veteran to him. Keelan Cole will still be on the team. In real life, Trey Quinn was cut by the Washington team. Trey Quinn was cut by the Washington team. We just played last week. We didn't see him a lot in that game, but he was cut. As you know, our offensive coordinator is former Washington team's head coach, Jay Gruden, so he brought back one of his boys. He brought back Trey Quinn to the practice squad, but in this game, we will have him on our regular roster. We will, however, move Terry Godwin, who in real life is on the Jaguars practice squad. He'll be our first member of practice squad to move. He had a great last game, caught up some really good slants, had a good drive. He's now going to be on the practice squad. Again, Trey Quinn, we would have him on the practice squad, but I think he's good enough at 72 overall to make the roster and see how Jay Gruden can coach his former, player. Then, sadly, we are cutting Greg Dortch. Dortch torched some people. He had some nice catches during the preseason, but we don't have the room in the practice squad. We already had Goodwin on the practice squad. I think he's better. Got a couple points, and we want to keep it as realistic as possible. So, Greg Dortch, the tiny legend, we will release you. Good luck in your future endeavors. And we will also release another wide receiver, Michael Walker. He's actually on the Jaguars in real life. He was cut in real life too due to, I think, injury. He might be on some reserve list, but I believe he was cut due to injury. So Michael Walker, again, walk hard. Michael Walker had some good plays during the preseason, especially during that last game, but we do not have the room on the roster. Cuts are hard, and Michael Walker, Good luck in your future endeavors. So that rounds out our wide receiving room. At tight end, Tyler Eifert, of course, is our starting tight end. Have high hopes. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I think he'd be a top 10 tight end if he does. James O'Shaughnessy, he's had some big drops during the preseason. I think he was injured a lot last season. Hopefully he can bounce back. And I'm sure you're wondering where the big show was. Big Colin Johnson. We converted him over to tight end because he bumps up 2 skill points. I think he's going to get a lot more playing time at tight end, number 3, rather than our very last wide receiver, and that also allows Trey Quinn to be on the roster too. So that means we need to make some cuts. I really wish Josh Oliver was healthy. I think he was primed to have a big year in his second year. Sadly, we do have to cut Simi Cobbs, the wide receiver turned tight end, who played for the XFL last year. He had some big plays, even had a touchdown in our last game, but sadly we do not have the room. Again, we want to keep the roster as close as possible to the real life roster, so good luck, Simi Cobbs. Sorry, I'll get your name right on the way out. Simi Cobbs, good luck. Keep him at tight end, see if another team can use him. Now we have 3 tight ends. 2 of them were actually on the Jaguars. Matt Flanagan, who they just picked up a couple weeks ago, is on their practice squad. Thaddeus Moss is not on the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was actually cut by the Washington team in real life. We picked him up. I think we can't cut Thaddeus Moss. He's a perfect practice squad, guys. He has the Randy Moss as his father lineage. We got to keep him on this team. I have high hopes for him, so I'm giving him a practice squad spot. See if we can develop him, be a future tight end for us, as well as I think Tyler Davis too. He was a 6th round pick. I don't want to cut him. He was used by draft capital by the Jaguars. Again, 6th round pick. He's got a nice contract. In real life, the Jaguars like him. 3rd overall tight end behind O'Shaughnessy and Tyler Eifert. So we will keep Tyler Davis on our practice squad. I know it's weird to roster 2 tight ends on the practice squad. So that means Matt Flanagan, even though in real life he is on the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad, we don't need 3 tight ends on our practice squad. 2 is already probably too much. So we will release Matt Flanagan. I just don't think he's got a lot of potential. Yeah, I know he's the highest one right now, but he is 2 years in. We have 2 rookies who are right on his tail, so we might pick him up if we get an injury at tight end. Then we'll place him into the roster to keep it realistic. But Matt Flanagan, good luck in your future endeavors. Now to go to offensive line. We're keeping Cam Robinson. I know he has improved during this preseason. Remember a couple episodes back, Ron Leary, one of our free agent pickups, is mentoring him. So hopefully he can do even better at blindside at left tackle, because we definitely need him there. Shatley made the roster. He did not Shatley himself. He was able to make the roster, but McGinn is gone. In real life, McGinn is released from the Jacksonville Jaguars, so we will release him as well. He's 53 overall. We don't need him. And going at left guard, sadly, we do have to release our boy, our golden gopher, Donnell Green. If you remember the story in him, as Tony Khan, we brought him back after he was cut by the Jaguars. He was originally on their offseason roster, but the Jaguars cut him. We brought him back. He was one of our best backup, offensive linemen, but he just doesn't make the cut. Ben Barch, he was actually a draft pick. We have Norwell, of course, making the team. Donnell Green isn't on their team in real life. We want to keep it as close to realistic as possible to the same roster, but he had a great preseason. I think he bumped up maybe 1 or at least 2 points. I think 1 or 2 points. So definitely wishing Donnell Green best of luck in his future endeavors. Might look at him for a practice squad guy or a depth guy later on if there are injuries. We also obviously still keep Brandon Linder, and here's one of our pickups. We picked up Bradley Bozeman. Bradley Bozeman was released by the Baltimore Ravens. I have no idea why. Why would you release someone who's only a 2-year pro? He's practice squad eligible, so we were able to pick him up without using one of our free agent spots, or one of our 10 free agent spots we get for the season. And we get one of our best depth pieces for our offensive line. He was cut. He was a former 6th-round pick, but he's 71 overall. Just to look at the Baltimore Ravens roster, it makes no sense. He would be better than this guy, better than their starters. Look at that. He would start at left guard. It makes no sense. But he got cut either way. Again, he's better than almost every single depth position, and he would even be a starter. I don't know if they had some salary issues or what, but it makes no sense why the Ravens would cut him. But again, we got him now. He's one of our best offensive lineman depth pieces we have, right behind Brandon Linder. Hopefully, he can learn from the veteran. But with good news comes bad news. Sadly, we have to release the former Packer, Cole Madison. The man who probably gave some snaps to future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers is sadly going to be cut. I remember he got injured during one of the games, so maybe that slowed him down. He hurt his shoulder. He's healthy now, so we wish him the best in his future endeavors with his next team. But yeah, what a pick. He was one of the guys we had to get. I didn't want to overspam getting, the practice squad eligible free agents to our team because, again, I want to keep as close to the roster as possible. But when a guy like this is out there, 71 overall, I have to use one of the picks for him. And I think he's going to be a great depth piece for us. At right guard, we have Ron Leary. Again, we signed him during the first week of the preseason. He's been doing great. Again, taking on the leadership role, mentoring our starting left tackle, Cam Robinson. And he definitely helps round out the center of our line. We definitely had a weakness there with A.J. Cann. But A.J. Cann, again, a great depth piece. So he'll be one of our best depth pieces and will definitely be probably the guy starting if anybody goes down on our offensive line. Casey McDermott, he was cut in real life and then signed to the practice squad, so he'll be our man we signed to the practice squad. I would rather have signed Donnell Green. He's better, 3 points better, but again, we're going to keep the roster and the practice squad as close to the real life as possible. So Casey McDermott, he will hang on to the Jacksonville Jaguars roster on the practice squad. At right tackle, we have Juan Taylor starting. We moved over Will Richardson Jr. He's going to be on their team in real life. We moved him over so he could still stay on the actual roster. Marquise Tucker, though, the former XFL player, we sadly have to cut him. He was one of Tony Khan's 3 guys, along with Donnell Green and Cole Madison we brought in week 1 of the preseason. Sadly, he did not make the team or practice squad. He'll be cut. Good luck in your future endeavors, Tucker. And in real life, Ryan Pope, he was cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars, didn't make the practice squad. I know he was on and off the injury list or the COVID list, but he didn't do enough to make the squad. Only 55 overall. Ryan Pope, good luck in your future endeavors. So that rounds out our offense. Now moving on to defense. We made our cuts for offense, signed a couple practice squad guys. Now let's see defense. At defense, of course, Josh Allen, our superstar, made the team. So did Cassius Marsh. Carl Davis, however, will be cut because in real life he is suspended for 5 games for performance-enhancing drugs, so PEDs. He got busted, 5-game suspension. We don't have room for a roster. He's not practice squad eligible, so Carl, if you're going to do those PEDs, don't get busted, man. Next time, keep it under the table. Be more sly about it. Well, maybe give you a better heads up about those tests. But sorry, Carl Davis, you will be cut from our roster. Up next, of course, Von Miller made the team, our one X factor on our team. Adam Gotis made the team. Karan Reed, he did make the practice squad in real life, but you see that experience? He has 6 years, so we can only sign people to our practice squad between their rookie year and their second year. So even though in real life Karan Reed did make the team, we do have to cut him for space. I know he's 67 overall, not a bad prospect, but since he's 6 years in the league, we cannot sign him to our practice squad. We don't have room to sign him on our active roster. He cannot be on the practice squad on our team due to his seniority in the NFL. At defensive tackle, hey, we don't have to make any cuts here. We have Tim Jerrigan, Al Woods, Taven Bryant, and Devon Hamilton, who we did trade RB Jones, old man RB Jones, to the Denver Broncos in that Von Miller trade so that Devon Hamilton could get a roster spot. He's a third-round pick out of Ohio State. He had a sack during the preseason so far. I like him a lot, and I'm glad he's on the roster, not just on the practice squad. And Dontavius Russell, I think, is going to be out for this season. He's on injured reserve. At left outside, we have Leon Jacobs as our number 2, our backup left outside linebacker, which sadly means we do have to release Dwayne Smoot. I really wanted to find a way to keep him on the team, but again, he's 3 years in the league, so we can't sign him to our practice squad. I think he's a great prospect. Again, he gets beat out at each outside linebacker's position. He gets beat out at defensive tackle, and he gets beat out, just on being on the main roster. Can't put him on the practice squad. I think he's a great talent. He is on the team in real life, so I wanted to keep him on the team here, but sadly we're going to have to cut him, and we're also going to get a penalty of 240K. So that definitely does hurt. He's one of the harder ones I try to make work. Maybe we shift him to the other side of outside linebacker or defensive end or D tackle even. But he was beat out every single position. All the people made the team. It's going to be tough with cuts, but this is one of the tougher cuts. Especially when we lose some money there, too. We did get a penalty. And then Dakota Allen. In real life, he was cut, but then signed to the practice squad, so we will do the same. We will sign Dakota Allen, second-year player, to the practice squad. And at middle linebacker, we have Joe Schobert, of course. This was one of the guys we picked up. We picked up, again, Bosman on the offensive line. Again, he should have been a starter on the Ravens team on their offensive line, but they cut him. He's practice squad eligible, so we don't lose one of our 10 pickups. And we didn't lose one of our 10 pickups with Josie Jewell. And again, I was thinking of, maybe even moving in Leon Jacobs, who was there at that position at our second middle linebacker, or moving in Quincy Williams. But they were both around 65, 66. So I really wanted Josie Jewell, again, former Denver Bronco, former Iowa Hawkeye. He's so much better than both of them, where I actually am okay releasing Dwayne Smoot. That's what we had to do to get Josie Jewell on the team. If we didn't bring in Josie, Smoot would still be on the team. We wouldn't get that penalty, but I think Josie's definitely going to help us out right away. We only needed one of these pickups at each of the sides of the ball, one on defense, one on offense for the practice squad eligible guys. Josie Jewell was the one we picked up from the Denver Broncos. I want to see if he would have... No, I guess he was better than Justin Stranad. One of those. Maybe he could have made... Yeah, he probably could have made outside linebacker, especially better than Derek Tuznica. Man, they've got some really tough names on their linebacking core. But, again, maybe he just got beat up by Todd Davis, a little more veteran, and they've got rookies or younger guys there. But, I think he's going to be great. He's going to be a starter on our team at number 2 middle linebacker. I know certain packages he'll be playing. We still have Shaquille Quarterman, who, again, 4th-round pick out of Miami. I think there's a lot of good hype behind him. I think he could be a great player for us in the future. And for Joe Giles Harris, in real life he was cut, not signed to the practice squad out of Duke. We will cut Joe Giles Harris here to follow along with what happened in real life. Joe, good luck. And then at right outside linebacker, we will be releasing Laurenti McCray. I know he did actually get a boost during one of the preseason games, and I found out he's a former Packer, so it hurts me as being a Packer fan to cut a former Packer, to make a former Packer be jobless. But he was cut in real life, so we are going to cut him also in this game. And he just didn't make the team. He missed it by a couple points at 67 overall, but we will be cutting him in real life. Or in this game, just like in real life. Hopefully not too bad. We got a little bit of penalty. I knew we'd get some, but it's only 140K. But he was not practice squad eligible either, so we couldn't even send him to the practice squad. Now to go with cornerback. You'll see we have a new player. We have Carlton Davis III. He was the top cornerback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We had to trade Leonard Fournette for somebody, so we traded Leonard Fournette for Carlton Davis. There's 2 other cornerbacks on their team that we tried to get. Both Vernon Hargraves, I believe, was one of them. The other one was James Dean. Both are 1-year pros. Carlton Davis is a 2-year pro and only normal development. The other 2 cornerbacks were star development, so they were harder to trade for. But I was able to trade Leonard Fournette to the Buccaneers, just like in real life. So we see in this franchise mode how Leonard Fournette does in the Buccaneers on their team. And we also got our best cornerback, Carlton Davis III. Only a 2-year pro. He's got 2 years left on his contract. And we also sneaked a 5th-round pick since I wanted to rub it into the real Jaguars' face. They said they couldn't even get a 6th-round pick for Leonard Fournette. But, hey, Tony Khan, he knows how to sign big deals. He knows how to make big trades with his experience at AEW Pro Wrestling. So he was able to get Carlton Davis III and a 5th-round pick from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We also signed Sidney Jones, or actually had a trade for Sidney Jones. But in real life, the Philadelphia Eagles cut Sidney Jones. And the Jacksonville Jaguars picked up Sidney Jones and put him on the practice squad. Just like Trey Quinn, he's too good to not be on a regular roster. He's our number 2 cornerback, and he's got star development. He only has 1 year left on his contract, so we want to see what Sidney Jones can do here in our franchise mode. I know in real life he struggled with injuries. He was a former second-round pick. Some people call him a bust, but I think it's unfair. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So we'll see if in our franchise mode he can stay healthy. We had to trade one of the players we did get from in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trade. We had to trade for a second player with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of their salary cap. They could not take on Leonard Fournette, so we did have to trade also for their second string defensive end, William Golston, a longtime Tampa Bay Buccaneer. We traded him over to the Eagles, moved him over to right outside linebacker since they needed an outside linebacker. That was one of the Eagles' weak spots. And we were able to trade Sidney Jones, who on this game was actually on the trade block. He was the number 1 quarterback on the trade block, but he was on the trade block nonetheless. So we were able to use William Golston, who we had to trade or had to pick up in that Buccaneers trade because Leonard Fournette would have been too much for the Buccaneers salary cap. But we ended up getting Sidney Jones, just like the Jaguars got in real life. Instead, he will be on our regular roster, not just the practice squad. Again, we still have C.J. Henderson and the second cornerback. We got some cornerbacks, 3 cornerbacks, because as you saw in our last game against the Washington team, man, our secondary got burned. We needed some youth. We needed some new cornerbacks to, frankly, replace Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye, who were, unloaded last season. So we got Greedy Williams, a former second-round pick of the Cleveland Browns. We traded Ronnie Harrison, our safety, a star development safety. Just what the Browns did, or what the Browns and Jaguars did in real life was Ronnie Harrison for a 5th-round pick. We were able to get their second-round pick, or former second-round pick from last year, Greedy Williams, as well as a 5th-round pick from the Browns. So I was still able to keep that real, but I couldn't just trade Ronnie Harrison for nothing. Again, we have Tony Khan as our general manager, as our head coach. I love Greedy Williams. He was even projected to be a 1st-round pick when he got drafted last year. We were able to get this young player. He's still got 3 years left on his contract, I believe. He'll definitely be a great addition to our team at cornerback. So I'm really confident in our cornerback room now with Carlton Davis III, Sidney Jones, C.J. Henderson, and Greedy Williams. Trey Herndon, too. He's still a young prospect, 74 overall, not bad. Rashaan Melvin, however, though, he is a veteran. He is, too, a star development player. So it's hard to get rid of someone like this, especially when we do need some veterans on this team. It is a very young team, but sadly, he will be cut. He was one of the, I think he's either a reserve cut or like put on a list, future like opt-out list or retirement list or some kind of like opt-out list. So we don't have the room on our roster. I don't want to trade him. Again, I don't want to use one of our picks, or one of our 10 trades. So we will release Rashaan Melvin. I'll be fine picking up later, especially if there's an injury. But right now he is on a reserve list for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we will cut him for now because we just don't have the room on a roster. Again, we're getting another penalty. So these cuts hurt. Dwayne Smoot, McCray, as well as Rashaan Melvin. He's a star development player too, so it hurts to cut him, but he is on a reserve list, so I want to make it as realistic as possible, so he wouldn't be playing on our team anyways, like in real life, so we will cut him from the roster, as well as Tremaine Brock Sr. He was on the reserved injured list, so we will be releasing this veteran as well. 10-year veteran, one of the longest, lasting players on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're one of the most tenured Jacksonville Jaguars players. We have to cut him too. Hurtsey's a scheme fit as well, but we'll trade him. Luckily, no penalty, but we will cut him, we will cut Tremaine Brock Sr. Since he is on that reserved injured list in real life and wouldn't be playing on our team anyways. And Perry Nickerson was just straight up cut. I thought he could maybe be on our practice squad, looking at it earlier in the preseason. 70 overall, not bad, only 2-year pro, but he was just straight up cut. He wasn't even signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad in real life. So we'll have to cut him too, save $1 million in cap room. Good luck, Perry. And Luke Barku. He's actually going to be on the roster in real life for the Jacksonville Jaguars, so we won't cut him, but we will move him to the practice squad because we just don't have room on a regular roster. And same thing with Chris Claybrooks. He's our best returner, our best special teams returner, both for punt return and kick return. He did make the Jaguars roster in real life. So again, keep it realistic. I will move him to the practice squad. I'd rather Perry Nickerson be on the practice squad than either of these guys stat-wise. Maybe Luke Barku. He does have some hype around him in real life and could develop. But Chris Claybrooks, I don't know. I just don't see him making the roster unless it is, again, in a special teams role. But both guys will be on our practice squad. At free safety, we have Earl Thomas, Gerard Wilson behind him, and then we will be moving Daniel Thomas, the rookie. He did make the roster in real life, so we will put him on the practice squad. Again, hate-cutting rookies that the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted in real life. And then at strong safety, we moved DJ Hayden over to strong safety. He was our former #1 cornerback, but as you saw, we definitely upgraded our cornerback room, getting Carlton Davis from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Sidney Jones from the Philadelphia Eagles, but in real life, he actually was picked up as a free agent and signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad. And we got Greedy Williams in a trade from the Browns for our safety Harrison. So we didn't really have room for DJ Hayden on our cornerback squad, even though he was our former #1. But I think him being 7-year pro, a little older, 30 years of age, I think he'll be a great strong safety to pair along with Earl Thomas. And I think that was definitely a position of need to boost our safety position. And now we have, especially losing Ronnie Harrison in that trade. Go figure, Jacksonville Jaguars would trade one of their young star development players. But DJ Hayden is a good replacement. We will also keep Josh Jones on the roster. He made the team real life, former Packer. I thought he had a lot of potential, so he'll be on our team. And we'll also move down another draft pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He made the team in real life, but he'll make our practice squad at least, Josiah Scott. Then I also picked up Andrew Wingard. Remember, we released him right before our first preseason game because we needed to free up a spot on the roster. He is actually on the Jaguars roster. He made the roster, 63 overall, 1-year pro out of Wyoming. I'm going to move him over to the practice squad. He made the roster in real life. I want to keep it as realistic to the roster as possible. There's a lot of guys on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster I couldn't find on the game. They just weren't in the game, weren't updated, like the running back, James Robinson, who might actually get some playing time. He's an undrafted free agent. There's a couple other guys, again, Bruce Miller I mentioned on offense, our fullback. He's 4, 5, 6-year pro. He's played for the Buccaneers. But again, Bronson Rechsteiner is totally more our style. We have Josh Lambo at kicker, and we have Logan Cook, which his first punt wasn't very good, but he's on their team in real life. So again, we're keeping it as real as possible. So thank you guys again for watching today. Next episode, we'll be going against the Atlanta Falcons for our 4th preseason game, our 2nd game on All-Madden. We lost the last preseason game to the Washington team. Hopefully we can turn it around now that we're maybe more used to All-Madden. Both teams are 2-1. We'll be back home. Would be great to get a home win before the regular season, before we kick off the season with the Colts. But if we do lose this game, it will be our 2nd game on All-Madden loss in a row. So we'd make our first actual game, our first home game, our first regular season game back on All-Pro. I know that was a mouthful, but thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Peace out. Keep on dancing.